Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. As you can see, another beautiful rainy day outside. I did manage to get to the junkyard yesterday. Well, went to 3 different ones. I didn't have much luck, but I did get some stuff ordered that's finally come in. So I decided with the floor to go ahead and go with carpet. Now this is just laid in there. Since it came all folded up, wanted to lay it in there, so it's been sitting out here for a couple of days just laying flat. If you watched that last video, you saw how rusted out underneath here had gotten. To wire wheeled that, treated it, did some rust conversion spray on it, and then primered it. But what I need to do is go ahead and pull this back out. I'm going to put the sound deadening back down along the floor, get this carpet installed. I'm going to end up putting the old seats back in, or the old seat. Have not been able to find a replacement for that yet, so I'm just going to go ahead and put that one back in until I can find a better replacement. And then I still need to find this bezel piece here to replace that, but aside from that, it should all be done. Oh, and eventually I'll do a headliner. So I'll get this all tore out, get the sound deadening done, and then get this back installed. Alright, well, it stopped raining, but it just got humid, and now it is nice and warm out here in the garage. I got sound deadening down, got all the extra screws out, got those in place, marking the holes. There's one over there. Still fighting with this. I don't know if you see it, it's actually pushed down through even more, but let me get a light to shine on there. But yeah, that is not coming out. I've soaked it, I've tried tapping it out, I've tried using easy outs, been trying to drill it. Broke a couple of drill bits so far, bent one. I'm still working on getting that one bolt out, which is taking much longer than it should. But once I get that out, I'll go ahead, lay the carpet in, and start trimming it, getting it to actual correct size, and finish putting this all in. Alright, got the carpet in, got the old seat back in for now. It's not horrible, but it's not great. But all the sound deadening underneath and then this carpet, it definitely, you know, makes everything seem a bit more solid. There's still going to be some rattle with these doors, because you look how they close. Yeah, you can see it's going to rattle some, and that's because these door seals don't really do much of anything. So I do have those on order. So I haven't put all the trim back in. I have a headliner and new door seals on order. So once you get that installed, these new seals installed, and then all the trim back together, then everything will be good. Still, of course, looking for a new seat and a new front bezel there. So those were the only other 2 things that, that bezel was, you can see all the clips are still on there. It was just kind of hanging and rattling around like crazy. So trying to get rid of anything that rattles. So the next thing is going to definitely be that exhaust, which if you saw the last video, it is just hanging by a couple of things. It's actually, the catalytic converter is actually resting on the transmission brace. So I'm going to go ahead and start digging in. I'm going to rip that out. I actually have a new catalytic converter here. It's from the downpipes back to the cat, everything in between. I don't know if I'm just going to do a straight pipe from this point back or what I'm going to do from this point, but I definitely wanted to get this replaced because the old one that's in there is completely shot. So let's go ahead. I'll do a startup so we can see what it sounds like with the current cats and exhaust. Let's see, doesn't sound great. And even worse is it doesn't smell great. If we take a look underneath, see, the muffler's shot. These cats are completely shot. I said this is just rusting on this brace. This cat's actually just resting on that brace. So we'll work on getting this out and getting that new cat installed, which ought to be fun. Well, I thought this was going to be a little bit more difficult, but there was only one actual hanger down there that was connected. I disconnected these made up hangers over here, and this is ready to come off. With nothing else, with a couple of whacks probably. Yeah, a couple of whacks is all it took. So that clamp is completely rusted out. Everything else wasn't even really connected, so that part came out a whole lot easier than expected. Now, the cat part, that's going to be another story because I have a feeling those bolts holding the flange on the down tubes there are going to be pretty well rusted on there, so we'll see how that goes. Alright, so got this old heavy exhaust out. That's probably 50, 75 pounds of just exhaust that the truck just lost weight. So kind of curious what it sounds like with just that, with the old cats on there and no exhaust. Probably not much difference because there wasn't a whole lot going through the muffler. It was just barely connected. So. Well, turns out I was wrong. That actually makes a huge difference. So, yeah, and those cats, I looked inside, and from the back, it didn't look like it was really all clogged up, so that's a good thing. But I would go ahead and get them changed out since I got the new ones here. Alright, well, it's actually been about 2 days since I got the rest of the exhaust out, and I have been trying to get them disconnected from the exhaust up here. I had to take the wheel well out, the wheel well liner out, or fender liner, whatever you want to call it, out, which is just a bunch of little screws. There are a couple of things that are actually mounted. The smog pump air box or whatever it is, and then the vacuum dehydrator, dehumidifier, whatever it is, vacuum box is mounted on top. So just have those sitting up on top of the engine right now. But pulling this wheel well liner out gave me a little bit better access. And it's these two flange bolts there that had to come off to disconnect this flange, and then these two up there. So those are connected now. So this whole cat piece should pull out now. So we're gonna attempt to pull that out and see what happens. It's not quite ready to come out. So I have this EGR pipe, which is funny. It's pretty much, they tried, I don't know why, but in this model truck, this 4.9 liter, I don't know if they did it in the other engines, but they basically have a diesel style EGR thing going on where after the cat, there's a return pipe that pushes the old unburnt exhaust back into the engine to try to make everything burn cleaner. And so that is actually still connected. That's a pretty so seen people have just deleted this completely from their truck. Some people say don't do that. Well, that looks like that's held on with a zip tie. So I'm gonna have to get that disconnected. And I also think there's still an oxygen sensor connected down there. Yeah, so there's an oxygen sensor there that I need to get disconnected, and then this EGR return line disconnected. Then that's ready to come out. So thought it was ready to, but still got a couple of connections to go. Finally got this thing out. I went ahead and trimmed some pieces to make it a little easier to get out. You see a new one. First of all, it does have this mount welded on it, so it'll actually go into the mount. They won't have to rest on the transmission brace. This first cat is significantly smaller. It's got the pipe to, you got to move this piece over to that, or maybe replace that with just a rubber hose or something. I don't know if I can get away with that. I'll see what I could do. It's got the mounting spot for the O2 sensor, and I like that it comes with a plug in it in case you don't want to use that. So it's already plugged up if you don't want to use the O2 sensor, but just wrenches out if you do want to use it. If you wanted to bypass this, you would have to weld something shut there, but the plug's closed up. This cat's a little bit smaller, and everything looks a little bit newer. So one thing that is definitely different is the weight. This weighs, I don't know, maybe, I don't know, I would guess about 25 pounds. And this one is closer to 50 or possibly more. And it is heavy. It rattles all over the place. These heat shields missing bolts, so that was rattling. This is missing a bolt, and that was rattling. And like I said, it's completely resting right on top of the transmission mount. This was, so that was rattling. So yeah, the whole thing was just kind of dangling in there, all kinds of loose pieces on it, making all kinds of noise. So I'm very happy to finally get that out. A slight change of plans. I was not able to get this cat in unless I would have taken this transmission mount out. I sat here and fought with this thing, tried every different angle to get it in. I could either get the back end and not the front end up, or vice versa. So I ended up just going ahead and cutting it. Cut it right after the oxygen sensor. So did get this connected up top here, running down, have the oxygen sensor connected, and so I have it just cut right here. I haven't decided yet. I did decide I'm not going to hook this up. So if I put this cat on too, I'll probably just cut this here also, and then put a piece in the middle to connect that, and so I can hook this one up. Or I might just go ahead and connect the pipe from where it's connected already. Right now it's not mounted to anything, so I have to figure out that. I mean, if I do, you know, cut this and put a fixed pipe in there, then I'll at least have this mount that's still on there. But now that it's just the one cat installed, I'm curious to how this is going to sound. So I'll go ahead and start it up and see what happens. Yeah, that's definitely a little louder than I was hoping for, so I probably will put that other cat on there and a longer tube. Let's see how that does. But yeah, it definitely sounds better. But yeah, like I said, I'm not going to rerun the smog pipe back. I'm actually going to go ahead and delete the air pump and all that smog stuff. It just really doesn't make sense to me in this engine, and I know I'm not smarter than Ford engineers, but you know, this isn't my daily driver, so if it doesn't run exactly perfect, that's fine. So I've already went and got a new belt. It's a 800 K6, so basically just means it's 80 inches long, and K6 is the, you know, 6 splines in there. Apparently the old belt I had, I don't know, looks like it had some issues there, because you can see one of the grooves is actually ripped off of there. So this is only 5 grooves, it should be 6. So put the new belt in there, it's all 6 grooves. It is a little bit shorter, that way I was able to route it and just ignore that smog pump down there and bypass that. So then I did order a black block off plate for the EGR itself back there. Then I gotta figure out how I'm gonna, if I remove all this stuff, I'll need to find a plug for this and then one for the exhaust down here where that comes in. So I'll have to find plugs for those, but that'll be a different day, different story. But yeah, so making progress. I would go try to find connector piece. I'll cut this a little bit, put the new connector in there and put this in, and then call it good for now. You see, I got a second cat on. I just got a 2.5 to outside to a 2 1/4 inside adapter. Bolted those in. Got that all in. So now the cats are all installed. I went ahead and removed the return line and all the air pump stuff, and this vacuum line was already broke. I have no idea where that goes, and the only other vacuum line that was connected was this one here, so I just went ahead and plugged that up for now. Everything seems to be running decent. So the EGR is still on. It's connected back to the back side of the intake and then runs down to right there in the exhaust. So that's the only thing that is still connected. Everything else is off. The air pump is still in there, but it's disconnected, bypassing the pulley, so it's completely disconnected. I'm just going to leave it in there for right now in case I have any issues with things running like this and I have to put things back together. But so far it seems like it's going to run fine without that stuff, which doesn't surprise me because half the vacuum lines in here aren't connected to anything. I don't know how many of the sensors actually work, so, and there's no check engine lights or anything like that. But I don't think the whole air system was really functioning too well anyway, between the old cats being clogged up and not much air flowing through there to everything else, and no vacuum line, like half the vacuum lines in here being broken. I mean, there's some good ones still, but that's something else I have to do one day, is actually chase down and fix any vacuum lines that are actually connected and doing anything. But for right now, seems to be working all right. Exhaust is good. I'm going to go ahead and put this wheel liner back in, I think now, and button things up, and it should be ready to go.